Hey friends, I am back. Gonna read some more Bible. Trying to remember what we read yesterday. Cause oh yeah, we did some of the laws. Yeah, so we did like what you had to do in order to like keep your servant if you wanted to keep your servant, and how male servants had more autonomy than women servants did. Like you could let a male servant go, but if a woman servant wants to go, like you can't just let her go. There's rules around that because the whole thing with women being property and men being, their own person. And yeah, then we talked about like protecting your property and not stealing from your neighbor. So today we're going to read some more of those. We got two more of those laws to read about before we get into the tabernacle and all the fun things that go into the tabernacle and how it's supposed to be built. And I don't know if it goes into like the rituals and all that, but I guess we will see. So that should be a fun experience. So we're going to finish up the laws today, and then tomorrow hopefully we can start talking about the tabernacle and each individual piece that has to go into it. Hope everybody's having a great week. It's Wednesday, right? Wednesday, hump day, yay! Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm having a good week. Pretty chill, pretty good. Having the house to myself has been kind of nice because I'm able to do this more. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I only get to have that on like Mondays and Tuesdays and every other Wednesday. So we'll see how long I can keep this going. But I really like doing these. I really like being able to connect with the community and, just read through the Bible and just, learn things that I didn't know before and that, maybe weren't taught to us in church or maybe weren't always discussed in our small groups and things like that. And reading it from an atheist perspective as opposed to believing it and thinking that these things had actually happened when there's no evidence that they actually did happen. Excuse me. Okay. Sorry. So we're going to read Exodus 20. We stopped on 22 yesterday, so we're going to start on Exodus 23, and then we're going to go to Exodus 24. And then 25 is when we're going to start talking about the tabernacle. So we'll finish up these laws, and then we will move on to new things. Exodus 23. Do not spread false reports. Do not help a guilty person by being a malicious witness. Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd. And do not show favoritism to the poor in a lawsuit. If you came across your enemy, ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to return it. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you fallen down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure to help your enemy with it. Do not deny justice to your poor people in their lawsuits. Have nothing to do with a false charge, and do not put an innocent or honest person to death. For I will not acquit the guilty. I do not accept a bribe for a bribe. Blinds those who seize and twist the words of the righteous. Do not oppress the foreigner. You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners, because you were foreigners in Egypt. For 6 years you are to sow your fields and harvest the crops, but during the 7th year, let the land lay unplowed and unused. Then the poor among your people may get food from it, and the wild animals may eat what they leave. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive grove. 6 days to do your work, but on the seventh day do not work, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and so that the slave born in your household and the foreigner living among you will be refreshed. Be careful to do everything I have said to you. Do not invoke the names of other gods. Do not let them be heard on your lips. 3 times a year you are to celebrate a festival to me. There's always, you think they celebrate their God enough. Not only like in their daily lives, but not only do they have to serve God in their daily lives now, they also have to give him festivals. It's that whole narcissistic personality coming out. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread for 7 days. Eat bread made without yeast, as I commanded you. Do this at the appointed time of the month of Aviv, for in that month you came out of Egypt. No one is I'm getting there. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Celebrate the festival of harvest with the first fruits of the crops you sow in your fields. Celebrate the festival of ingathering at the end of the year when you gather your crops from the fields. 3 times a year, all the men are to appear before the sovereign Lord. Do not offer the blood of a sacrifice to me along with anything containing yeast. Doesn't like yeast, apparently. Is that another one of God's kryptonites? Because we had, what was the other one that was, he was like, we read in Genesis, there was something he didn't like. Was it the foreskins? God's kryptonite are foreskins and yeast. Good to know. The fat of the festival offering must not be kept until morning. Bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. That was always a weird one to me. Like, is that something they did back then? Or was that just like, I know, let's just make this random law. I don't know. It's just weird. See, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you along the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him and listen to what he says. Do not rebel against him. He will not forgive your rebellion, since my name is in him. If you listen carefully to what he says and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will oppose those who oppose you. My angel will go ahead of you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, the Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and I will wipe them out. Do not bow before their gods or worship them or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessing will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness from among you, and none will miscarry or be barren in your land, and I will give you a full lifespan. You have to wonder if that actually, well, I don't think it actually happened, but to say that not one person will miscarry or be barren in supposedly a huge group of people, that seems kind of, I think statistically that's not really something that would happen. Like, you're gonna have miscarriages and people who are barren. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw you into confusion. Every nation you encounter, I will make enemies and turn their backs and run. I will send the hornet ahead of you to drive out the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way. But I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate, and the wild animals too numerous for you to take. Little by little I will drive them out before you, until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert of the Euphrates River. I will give into your hands the people who live in the land, and you will drive them out before you. Do not make a covenant with them or with their gods. Do not let them live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me, because the worship of their gods will certainly be a snare to you. Exodus 24. Covenant confirmed. Then he said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. You are to worship at a distance. But Moses alone is to approach the Lord, and the others must not come near, and the people may not come up with him." When Moses went and told the people all the words of the Lord, they responded with one voice, "Everything the Lord has said, we will do." Moses then wrote down everything the Lord had said. He got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent the Israelite men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as fellowship offerings to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and put it in bowls. The other half he splashed against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people. They responded, "We will do everything the Lord has says. We will obey." Moses then took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words." Ugh, that's so gross. It's like sprinkling people with blood. That's another thing I don't understand is like the whole, like Christianity is a very like blood-centered cult. In like not a good way. Like there's a lot of blood and it's real gross when you think about it. Ugh. Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky. But God did not raise his hand against the leaders of the Israelites. They saw God, and they ate and drank. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here. I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commands I have written for their instruction." Then Moses set out with Joshua his aide, and Moses went up on the mountain of God. He said to the elders, "Wait here for us until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you, and anyone involved in a dispute can go to them." When Moses went up to the mountain, in the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain. On the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went up the mountain. He stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. It's always interesting to me that the way that they write this, like the mountain was, there was a cloud and there was lightning and there was thunder, and you just have to like think about how they thought things back then, because I'm sure I'm talking too much. Okay. For me, when I look at this chapter, I see like how the natural world is from my perspective, because I know there are things like, lightning and thunder that happen naturally, or, volcanoes give off, they spout off like smoke and stuff. So just looking at that and knowing like what I know about nature just as a whole, it sounds very natural. Like it's more like a natural occurrence that they're just attributing to their god. I mean, honestly, like I have talked to people who thought maybe like Mount Sinai was really just a volcano and they thought it was a god because they didn't understand natural processes in those times. Like if there was a bad harvest or, a famine or a flood. Like, they always attributed that to the gods being angry, or the gods wanting to punish them, or the gods wanting to send them a message. So I feel like that kind of ties into how they believed what they thought they were seeing was God, when it was possibly just a natural occurrence in our world that they just didn't know how to understand, because they didn't have that concept of reality that we do, and they believed in other beings doing these things. And I don't know, they believed in magic too, so it's like, if you believe there's a magic sky person or god or something up there that's, you know, making this cloud and making this thunderstorm or making this volcano like explode, then you're gonna believe that it is that, because that's all you know. As opposed to now, where we have science, where we can look at it and go, oh, this is a natural occurrence within our world, and this is how it happens. So it takes you back to like how their mindset was versus our mindset today, which is very interesting, how different cultures see things so differently, and how it can just change your whole perspective on different ideas like that. I think even like me coming out of the church and like believing that this stuff was all true, and that, you know, that wasn't a volcano, and that wasn't just thunder and lightning, like that was God showing himself in all his glory. But now that I'm an atheist and I look at it, I go, oh, that really could just have been a natural occurrence, and they had no idea what was actually happening during that time. So just changing your whole perspective on things, I guess, can help you see things a lot clearer. And I think that's one reason why the church doesn't, like, I don't know, they tell you to study your Bible, but they don't really tell you to, like, look into, you know, deeper academia, deeper, like, I know what I'm trying to say, but, you know, digging in and making sure that the things that are being taught in the Bible line up with reality. And it was always interesting growing up in the church, because I was always told, like, you know, Christianity, jeez, I'm talking way too fast today, sorry guys. Christianity, like, the whole foundation of Christianity is whether or not Jesus rose from the grave. So you either have to believe that or not believe it, and that's what it all hinges on. But there's so much more to that, and there's deeper implications than they really talk about in the church, because it's like, oh, just believe or don't believe, when it's not really about belief. It's about, you know, looking at the evidence that we have and figuring out, like, well, has anyone ever come back from the dead? Do we have any, you know, scientific reason, or even just natural reasons to believe that maybe, you know, it is quite possible that someone came back from the dead, but why wouldn't there be more good evidence to back that up, you know? Why would it be in one book that doesn't have a lot of evidence and has been shown to be copied and, you know, not be the same book throughout the ages, and how things have changed? And that's definitely something I think about often, because, like, my family and my husband's family are, like, we both came from Christianity growing up, so when we both look at it and go, well, there are deeper issues within that Christians don't really look into. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of Christians just go at the surface level of, like, believe or don't believe, when, you know, skeptics and atheists and anti-theists, it's not that we don't want to believe, it's that we don't have the basic, you know, evidence, I guess, or we don't have those things that back up that this is true. And, when I was looking at it, a big part of me was like, if this was really true and Jesus was God and he did rise from the dead, then he wouldn't have just appeared to people that knew him. Like, I mean, like, more on a personal level. Because, like, the leaders and stuff, especially, like, in the temple and stuff, like, they knew who Jesus was. And they knew what he had come to do, supposedly. And, they said they didn't believe that he was who he was. And if Jesus really was, in fact, God, and really did want people to know that, and want that gospel story to be shared with the whole world, then he would have, appeared before Pontius Pilate, or appeared before, the Sanhedrin or the Pharisees. Like, these are major people that could have given better evidence and better backing to the story that would make people stop and think for a second and go, well, maybe this person had seen this, because God wanted them to see it. But I don't know. I guess for me, like, knowing what I know now with the evidence versus not knowing any of it when I was a Christian definitely has made me think about things, I guess, in a deeper level. And especially, like, not reading the Bible all the way through. I mean, that's a big reason why I want to do this too, is because so many Christians will say, like, I take the Bible out of context, or I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's like, if I sit here and I actually read through the Bible and, I can see what the verses actually say, and I can see, like, what they meant during that time and how it came out because of the culture they were living in, it definitely can help other people see that too. And I think that's a huge thing when it comes to Christians, because they have blinders on. Like, they're wearing rose-colored glasses that say, like, this is God. And when I step back and go, well, if these events actually happened, was it God? Or could it possibly be something that they just didn't know about? Like, natural occurrences, or I don't know. It's just, I guess it's kind of frustrating when you come from that background, and, those people with the blinders on, they absolutely refuse to take them off, even when you try to help them see. Because I think a lot of us who had come out of the church, it's not about changing their minds all the time. Like, yes, I would love for them all to just see how destructive and horrible the Bible really is, but at the same time, like, I don't want to destroy their faith if that is what they want. But at the same time, I want them to understand, like, where I'm coming from and why I think the way I think now, as opposed to how I thought when I was a Christian. And I guess that kind of just goes into the whole, like, normalizing atheism thing, is that in order to normalize atheism, people of faith have to be willing to sit down and talk to us and see our perspective and put themselves in our shoes and go, oh, well, I can see why you think that. But a lot of them don't do that, because it's very much, we need to spread the gospel message, and they don't take it to that deeper level of, like, well, maybe the gospel message isn't working anymore because, we live in a time of science and discovery and internet, and, people are able to get the information that they need pretty much anywhere nowadays. I mean, I carry a cell phone in my pocket that I can get on the internet whenever I want. So if I'm in church and a pastor tells me a scientific fact that is 100% not true, I can look it up in church, and I know that either that pastor is lying or he's misinformed, and instead of looking into both sides of the evidence to make sure that what he's teaching people in the pulpit is true, he's simply clinging on to the evidence that makes his conclusion true. So And it's so hard to tell people that in the church, because I know for family of mine, like, they do. They have blinders on and they don't understand it, and they don't, especially the older generations, where they're just like, we don't understand the younger generations. We don't know how to get them to come to church. We don't know how to share the gospel with them. And the problem, they don't see the problem is not, them just not going out and sharing the gospel. The problem is that we live in a time where we have, the information age. We are 100% able to figure things out on our own. And, if people want to have faith, then that is their choice. But at the end of the day, because we have information at our fingertips, no matter what the church does, it's not going to stop people from jumping ship, because people just don't, they don't just sit there and listen and do what they're told anymore. Like, because that's not how life is supposed to be. Like, life is about curiosity and exploring and learning, and the church very much frowns upon those things. And I think people, millennials my age and people younger, are starting to realize, like, it's not always a good thing to just sit there and listen and do what you're told. Sometimes you have to step out and figure out what is going to be best for you and best for your family and best for the world in general. And for me, the church and the gospel message is not important, because to me, it's not true. And neither are any other religions that I've looked into. To me, they're all man-made. They're all there to control and to hinder you from growing and hinder you from learning and doing the things that, could make your life better and make other people's lives better. And I think that a lot of people today are realizing that. And we even see that when it comes to, like, liberal churches, because, I feel like a lot of the fundamentalist churches are dying out, but they're being replaced by the liberal churches, which I don't understand, because I grew up fundamentalist. So, like, if there was no Adam and Eve, then there's no reason for Jesus. So that's my whole mindset, because I was raised that way. But I guess if I had been raised more in a liberal church, maybe I would understand their mindset better. But even then, it's not important. For me, I'd like to be more of a humanist and see people for where they're at and love them where they're at, as opposed to trying to save them from this invisible enemy that they have no proof exists. And, this is the only life I know for sure that I have, and I want to do something with it. I don't want to waste it on, religion that, you find out the end's not there. Like, you're not gonna know, because you're gonna be dead, and then you've wasted your entire life not doing what you could have done by reaching out and helping other people, or, who knows what you could do with the skills and the gifts that you have in your life if you waste them all on just things that don't matter. And, this matters to me. This is why I do this. I want to reach out to people who have left the church. I want to reach out to moms who have left the church, especially being a mom, because I think in the church, being a mom, like, you have this huge community of people, and they're willing to work around you, and they're willing to help you, and they're willing to, watch your kids so that you and your husband can go on a date night, or, have family gatherings with your friends, and, Bible studies and stuff. And the second you leave, like, those friendships are gone. Like, it's not the same. And I think for moms, that's incredibly difficult to go from having this just huge community of people that are willing to do anything to help you and your kids, and then you leave and they're done with you. And I think that's a huge part of why I do this too, because I see a lot more women and mothers leaving the church and feeling very lost because, you know, we were raised to be wives and mothers and, you know, teach our children about God. Like, and that's basically what our lives have been. So I think that's a big thing in my life, is helping those people and letting them know that they're not alone. Like, you're not the only mom who's left the church, you know, and there are other moms that are out here to help. And, you know, you can always find a community that's going to be willing to gather around you and help you out no matter what. And I think that's a big thing. Like this, like I have said before, this online community is a big help in that. And, you know, I have found out that there are people in this community that live close to me. So, you know, when COVID stuff starts calming down, like, I can, you know, have those friendships and build that community in my own town with other people who have been in the same place I have. And, you know, do things like this that can help people not feel so alone and not feel so discouraged. I know just talking with people that I know that have left the church, and, you know, they find their own communities and they create their own families. And like they said, like, you know, even though our families have shunned us, well, not my personal family, but like friends of mine, like, even though our families have shunned us, like, we have created our own group of people and our own families with our friends. And I think that's really important for people who are leaving the church, is that we have those little tight communities of people that are willing to step up and help those people. And I hope I'm doing a good job on here doing that. But yeah, that's a big thing for me. And just helping people who doubt too, because I've been there. You know, I was sitting in church every week and going, I don't understand what these people have that I don't have. And I always felt like, I don't know, no matter how much I tried, like, maybe I just wasn't praying enough, or maybe I just wasn't reading my Bible enough. And, you know, coming out of it and realizing, like, it's basically a bunch of adults just playing pretend and hoping that when they do die, that what they've been taught is true. So I guess I don't feel so alone anymore in that too, knowing that there's so many people that I know that are leaving the church. And knowing that you're not the only one, not just friend-wise, but family-wise too, that is a big deal, and I know it has helped me. So, yep, I'm rambling again. Yeah. Hoping tomorrow I'll be on. Tomorrow I'll probably be on earlier, though, because tomorrow my kids, they're in school till 2, so I'll probably have to do it before 2. But tomorrow we get to start reading about the tabernacle and all the fun things they're going to put in it and how it's built. So probably any time between 10 and 2 tomorrow if you want to watch my live stream. Otherwise, you can go watch it on my Twitch. I have Overprotected Atheist on Twitch or Overprotected Atheist on YouTube. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon, Overprotected Atheist, PayPal, Overprotected Atheist, a Teespring, my website, overprotectedatheist.com. My Teespring is on there if you want to just go there. If there's anything you want to get, I got like sweatshirts and cups and stuff. And yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I just do Twitch and YouTube, I think. I'm over here thinking, do I have anything else? I have a Facebook too, but I don't think a lot of people actually go on the Overprotected Atheist Facebook. But if you want to, it's also there. Oh, Instagram too. I have a lot of things. Yeah. So if you want to support me, you can do any of those things. I'm on Twitter too at OP_atheist. If you want to follow me there, I like to post about like when I have new videos and stuff coming out. And yeah, I think that's all I have. If there's anything I missed, you can tell me later or DM me on Twitter or whatever. Thank you all for coming and reading the Bible with me, and hopefully I see you all tomorrow to read about the tabernacle and all the goodies that go into that. Have a great night, guys. Bye.